Recently, I played a game called I Want to Be a Game Dev. Originally, from the Steam page, I figured it was just going to be a short visual novel inspired by DDLC. I didn't read the tags, I just went off the art style, figured it would be super dark and edgy after some 30 minutes of gameplay, and that would be that. Upon actually playing it and getting hooked for the first few hours, then spending the next few days playing it and being amazed by the characters, I came to the conclusion that it was, in fact, not inspired by DDLC, and I was off the mark for figuring that they'd take the cutesy art style and make it dark and bloody, like many a visual novel following 2017. However, then I actually played it through to the ending, and I found out I was both right and wrong. Something was afoot, but it was by no means shock horror. With that out of the way, please go play it yourself. If you like DDLC, there's pretty much a guarantee you'll like it. Not to say it's a copy. It's free and it's really, really interesting. Got really cool characters. It's just lots of stuff to do. I really liked it. Alright? So please play it yourself. Yeah, that's something you might be into. Check it out. Give it some 30 minutes. It's free. Just give it a shot. Really good. Super underrated. Please play it. But with that said, enough intro. Insert Matt Pat reference and call it a day.
Hello Internet, welcome to Game Theory.
So now that those who either don't care for spoilers or have played the game already and came back are out of the way, I'll give a very brief rundown of what happens so what I say doesn't sound like complete gibberish. You start off seeing Chloe, your closest childhood friend, on the final day of school. You're given the choice whether to confess your love or say no. I haven't 100%ed the game yet, so I don't know if it has any impact on the story going forward, but I'll assume it doesn't, for now at least, until part 2 comes out. You meet up with your other friends for the first day of your senior year, you meet a colorful cast, eventually start to, be a game dev. It's the title of the game. You get started on your game through building relationships, doing fun activities, weeks of tests, until finally it's time to present your game for the world to see. And it doesn't go too well. Chloe, naturally, having staked hours and opportunities on her future for this game, is upset. A fight breaks out, and you head home. You wake up the next morning, go to school, and things aren't acting right. She's gone. Her name is erased from memory, and Neku, your avatar, is the only person who can remember her.
レムって誰のこと？
は？
レムって誰のことなの？
But that's not all. In a desperate bid to prove your sanity, you head to Chloe's house and find Brittany, your fellow childhood friend and rival, having taken Chloe's home. She shows obsessive love towards Neku and comments about how she loves anime, a defining trait of Chloe's, but it's the opposite of the real Brittany. With everything out of the way, I'd like to get to the point. Chloe has glitched out of bounds and has been replaced by Brittany. My evidence starts with a poem, somewhere around week 3, in which you have a character called Akari, a moe girl who's always in a maid outfit. Judge your game's art. The game calls attention to the TV and it plays a short animation. Based on the poem, in a station of the metro, it directly quotes the source and shows a small animation of what appears to be like a magical girl killing a witch. Which, it looks like Elsa Maria from Madoka Magica. The poem goes as follows. The apparition of these faces in the crowd, petals on a wet, black blow. Butchered that one, holy shit. It's a famous 2-line poem. Now, upon inspecting Chloe's character, you see a flower on her head. Chloe is the apparition of the face. She is the petal. Her face appears and then vanishes from the world. But then, how is that possible? Through the train. In the game, there's a train station you almost never use outside of scripted events like traveling. With the poem being titled in reference to a train station and explicitly mentioning Chloe's disappearance via the petal, I'm fairly confident in the idea that it was the train which caused Chloe to disappear. Why is it only now that it breaks the game and causes Chloe to disappear? It's because of distance, both emotional and physical. If you play the game expecting to find a dating sim, you're shown pretty much in like an hour that no, not everyone is a romantic option. Of course, there are times where it seems like they are, but like when you go on a date with your club members at the festival, but none of that actually goes anywhere. The only character in whom you can legitimately date is Chloe, but this is an illusion of free will. It's intentional game design. From the moment you boot up the game and click New Game, you're shown that Chloe is the main love interest. The cutscene takes place in week 13, the end of the year. Death. Ooh. Look at your options. You can't choose I like you or I like being your best friend. Instead, it's I like you and never mind. Neku, the character, has feelings for Chloe, and they are mutual. The game itself wants them to be together. It doesn't want anyone else to date Neku. That's why when they have a giant fight and Chloe gets aboard the train to leave, it breaks. The game has been guaranteeing them to get together from the start, and when it can't have that, even after promises to be together forever, it breaks down. With Chloe out of the game, her traits are superimposed onto Brittany, who develops a sudden love of anime and Neku. This game is also loaded with Madoka Magica references, whether it's the art on the cafe wall, Chloe trying to watch it on a snow trip, or referencing it on their date. It's laden with inspiration. And what other story starts off with the main character having a strange dream about a future event? Adding to that, assuming I can get a picture of it since it constantly changes, the cafe wall has a drawing of 3 Madoka Magica characters, Sayaka, Madoka, and Homura. But not Mami or Kyoko, despite them also being major players. Why is this? Well, I believe this represents the 3 main characters, Neku, Brittany, and Chloe. Chloe, the cutesy girl in love with the color pink, has memories of her erased from everyone. Neku, resolved to save her no matter what, determines to bring the world back to normal. And Brittany, constantly shown insecure of Chloe's rapidly growing affection and comfort around Neku, will play the role of the woman who falls into despair, fated to turn into a witch. I mean, not obviously, you know what I mean. Now that we know what happened to her, having been erased from reality due to going out of bounds via train, and why that is, having a broken relationship with Neku, the remaining question is, where do we go from here? What is the ending? To that, I think I have the answer. Trying to find Chloe, I strongly believe there are 2 characters that will play vital roles. Emmy, the teacher and former physicist, and Alexis, the delusional student council president. Emmy, with her knowledge of as someone who dealt with reality itself. Gosh, that's a terrible line. And Alexis, the essentially schizophrenic woman enthralled with dreams of saving the world, might have the biggest component in how to save Chloe. At the end of the game, a string of letters and numbers is sent out. And from what I ChatGPT'd, considering I am not an expert ARG or code solver or whatever, it reads as a quote from Charles Darwin. One general law leading the advancement of all living things, namely, multiply, vary, and let the strongest live while the weakest die. From here, I strongly believe that the ending of the game comes down to a choice. Whether it's impacted by the very first one of Neku choosing between confessing his feelings or hiding them, I don't know. But with this, I think the ending will let you choose between being the strongest or the weakest. Firstly, what is shown time and time again throughout the story. Fear of the future. Giving up your youthful dream and finally growing up. Chloe so much as calls Neku out on it when he argues with her that the showcase went well. That's where the choice comes in. To be the strongest referred to, it's not about giving up on his dreams or about blindly sticking with them. What I believe is that in the end, the choice of being the strongest is about being adaptable. The quote itself doesn't just boil down to be strong. It means that as a species populates, there will be more variations in it. And with those variations, those with more favorable variations will survive, and those without won't. So it's not about sticking with either just video games or getting a normal job. It's about an attitude. Yes, the showing went bad. Yes, they showed that their hard work only got a few likes. Yes, they weren't widely received. Widely received. However, from there, Neku will follow the credits quote and be variable. He'll make changes, he'll grow and improve as a game developer, and that's what makes him the strongest, allowing him to live as a game developer. In contrast, he can choose to not be adaptable. He can choose to either vary in the wrong way or stick to the same in the wrong way. Either answer makes him weak, and as a result, he will die out as a game developer, proving Chloe right that it's not something they can make a company off of. And this might sound a bit too cocky, but I'd say the true ending will be the one that he makes the right choice, assuming it does boil down to this fork in the road. All throughout the game, Neku's biggest gameplay loop is exactly him being adaptable. He's fundamentally the jack of all trades to the group. He's always improving where the club needs him to. So here's what I think is really going to... Using Emmy and Alexis' help, after potentially making use of the combat system the game explicitly says isn't in yet, he reunites with Chloe. From there, the two, who are practically fated to be together by the game itself, do share a dialogue, and Neku, depending on your choice, is either able to convince her that they do have potential as game developers, or fails to, and leaves her unable to believe in their capabilities. Good ending, you get to start up that game company with everyone. Senior came and went, you're an adult now, you've grown up, but adulthood hasn't taken away the youthful charm, as you're still able to spend time with everyone, growing in your craft. You found that the future isn't so bad, as even if things aren't as easy, you still have everyone to be around. That makes it all worth it. Bad ending is you come to weakness and are unable to grow up. Even though Neku and Chloe both loved each other very much, they're simply too hurt to properly love each other. Neku's refusal to change, his fear of the future overwhelms him. It paralyzes him into inaction. Chloe's fate remains unknown, likely being unable to attend college due to skipping college admissions to focus on her game. Regardless of what happens, though, it's inevitable that the group dies out. That, I believe, is the ending choices of I Want to Be a Game Dev. Or Neku could just be the person who created his own game subconsciously. I really only think this is remotely possible because on the animation relating to the poem, Neku's first and last name are both listed at the credits. Combine that with the fact Neku can teleport, and things seem to be a bit fishy. But hey, that's hedge bets. I'll plan on both those theories pan out. Oh yeah, and also, New Universe Brittany also has to die. Having taken on Chloe's traits, she's no longer no longer Brittany. But she's not Chloe either, so she's a strange mix, and because she's neither Brittany nor Chloe, she's unable to survive and dies, or is otherwise removed. Just wanted to say that. Well, I'd say that's the end of the video. Again, even if you got spoiled, I still really recommend I Want to Be a Game Dev. Really good, excellent cast and such. In case you couldn't tell, I'm not much of a theorist, or even really like a video essay guy. That's what it's called. I'm not much of a video essay guy. I mean, my voice is a little too monotone for this.